Alright, with Legend of Korra coming to an end, I decided to talk about the 5 things we will never get in Legend of Korra or in the Avatar universe in general, because whether it be censors and whatnot, we'll only see it in fan fiction or animated special films, fan-made films, if any. So I'm just going to talk about the 5 things that were kind of missed opportunities, or they were just censored out. And no, before you asked, Korra-Sami's not on this list. Reason being, I'm still holding out till the bitter end, and I'm pretty sure more than half of the fan base is as well. Yeah, so we're holding it out till the very end. So it's not on that list, and it's not really anything like shipping wise either. So let's just talk about the things I've really wanted to see, but only seen in like fan fiction or something like that. Number 1, and also another thing, I don't have this in any order. But without further ado, let's move. Let's talk about this, shall we? First being someone smoking using firebending. I don't know why I've always thought that was kind of cool. Of like, if smoking was allowed in the Legend of Korra universe, animated wise, I think it'd be so cool, and Avatar as well, because someone using firebending instead of using a lighter, they'd be using they just light their thumb with a little firebending and light the cigarette or cigar or something. If they could, if they didn't have the censorship, as much as I do, Mako would be a frickin' chain smoker. He would be just smoking left and right, and you would just see him use firebending to light it rather than use a lighter. Or when he's chilling with Korra or Asami or Bolin, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you got a light? Always got a light." And just ignite that thumb. And there's fire right there for you. Instant lighter for you. I know I've seen that a few times in fan fiction, but I know we'll never get it for obvious reasons. Number two being, well, this one is a little more. Again, I can see why they didn't go with this. Firearms in the Legend of Korra universe. Now you could say, oh well, they've never really used gunpowder. Oh yes, they have. What are bombs? What do bombs have in them? Mostly, especially in early Avatar, especially this goes in the early Avatar universe. What do bombs need to explode? Well, again, Legend of Korra, it's a little more complicated than that. But in the early Avatar universe, they use bombs. They used bombs. Come on, so they had to have used gunpowder. So you would think in the 70 years advancement in time, you'd think they would have used at least something created like a bullet. Or, they're using lasers, for God's sakes. I mean, hell, they're harvesting spirit energy and using lasers. Although, granted, if you're going to do that, if you're going to use lasers made out of spirit energy, then what would be the actual fucking point of gunpowder, now that I think about it? On the other hand, I think it would have been interesting to have that with the Equalists, who weren't really chi blockers, but what they had was firearms, because that would have put them on par with benders, They could actually, use, I could see them an early World War, a version of the Vickers machine gun, which is the machine gun used in World War I by the British and other militaries at large. So I could see, a version of that, them just driving up in a van, van pops open, boom, there's got 2 Equalists with machine guns, they just mow down a thing of benders. Again, couldn't use it for obvious reasons. What can you do? But again, I think it would have been interesting to see, especially with non-benders, using firearms against benders or something else. Clearly showing that they especially I think this would have worked in Season 1, as you can tell, because this would have shown, Amon would have said, rather than, him having all the power and, being Tarlok's brother, it would have been very interesting to show that he could show benders that they could have the power. And again, yeah, I know they had the whole shock gloves and the mecha tanks, but would it have been interesting if some of them carried early firearms like bolt action rifles and had snipers and shit? I don't know. That would have been interesting. Because not everyone who was a non-bender would be able to use a glove or be able to chi block. I'm pretty sure some people would be like, hey, my back can't bend that way, or I can't throw good. Can I just have something that will shoot for me? Something that I can reload and fire? Why didn't anyone look into that? Oh yeah, because censorship. That's why. Number 3. Number 3 is a little more interesting because I would have really liked to have seen, I would have liked to see more stuff with the avatars, not just with, Roku and Wan and Kyoshi, but I'm talking about the other benders. I know we got some with Yang Chen and Kuruk, but we didn't really know. I really would have liked a few episodes, or maybe they'll explore this further in the Dark Horse comics. They may explore this further in the Dark Horse comics of exploring the other avatars and having showing some of their other adventures and them going further into the future, further backwards or forwards. Like who was the avatar after Wan? Who was the first reincarnation of Avatar 1? Was it a boy? Was it a girl? I mean, obviously, since it was it would have to be an airbender. The first airbending avatar. That would have been an interesting story because he's the first he or she is the first reincarnation of Avatar 1. He technically started the cycle and now has this Rava spirit into him, and trying to keep the balance, because what it looked like at the end of at the 2-part story of Beginnings, it looked kind of bad how Wan left things. So it would have been interesting to see, especially someone like an early version of the Air Nomads try to bring balance to the world in a world that looked pretty fucked up. I think there could be a lot of story potential there to do stories based around each of the avatars. And again, I think hopefully this will be something they explore in the comics themselves. Not keeping my fingers crossed though. So let's move on now to number 4. Number 4 is a little more. I think again, number 4 is more around, what was I going to say? What was number 4? Because I've just completely forgotten what number 4 was. Oh yeah, number 4 was kind of exploring further into the Avatar universe, maybe seeing, we did get some minor cosmic stuff in Spirits because the whole planets aligning thing. So I really would have wondered. I would have really liked to see, not so much the universe itself, but more like the world. Is it just the 4 nations on this planet and the rest of the world is surrounded by water? Or is there another continent on the other, or island or something on the other side of the planet? For the longest time, people didn't know, everyone thought the world was flat and everything was around you. It would have been interesting, to see, the people of the Avatar universe, get visited by someone from the other side of the country. And they're like, oh shit, we're not alone. But then again, granted, in Korra, you'd think they would have had some expeditions outside of the Fire Nation, the Air Nomads and whatnot, and found another country. So I'm really curious to maybe they just haven't explored far enough into the world, or maybe the other side, if there's another continent out there, maybe they haven't explored far enough either. So who knows? I don't know. I just would have liked to see maybe there's more to this world. There's more places in this world than we've seen. And finally is different the explanation for bending. Let me say this: what constitutes as why certain people can bend and why other people can't bend. Is it I know they kind of say that it was the lion turtles, and then people learned bending from the dragons and badger moles and the moon and the sky bison. But I want to know from there, the original benders, and what constitutes as who gets what. Is it a genetic thing? Because remember, Katara and Aang were both benders, but yet their first son Bumi didn't have bending. So is it a genetic thing, or is it? Do you have to learn it, or something else? I really would have liked to have seen some explanation there as to why certain people get bending and why certain people don't. And you could say, oh, well, they needed training. Well, like I said, some people are just born without being able to bend anything. Let's look at Bumi. Aang and Katara's first kid. Katara was a waterbender, and Aang was the frickin' Avatar, and yet he could not bend at all. It's the same thing with Sue and Batar Senior's family. Batar Jr. and Opal couldn't bend until Opal got airbending, while the rest of the Wing, Wei, and Huan could all earthbend as well as metal bend. So that's so I've always kind of been curious, is it a genetic thing or is it a mutation, or is it something else? Is it spiritual or whatnot? That's what I've always been curious about. But anyway, guys, just some things will probably never get explained in the world of the Legend of Korra / Avatar universe. So, you guys tell me, what are some things you wanted to see in the Avatar / Legend of Korra universe, but they never really showed or explained further on? You guys just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.